Well, hi again, and thank you so much for joining me today for our final lesson in our Fatherhood Masterclass. This has definitely been a fun but challenging week personally and professionally. With five kids, one being only 7 weeks old, time and energy is definitely a challenge, but that's the privilege of being a dad. I have to say, it's also been exciting to build a place for dads and see them achieve their goals through this training and through, of course, the resources that we provide at Dad Central. And of course, hopefully, our new program that we're launching tomorrow, Dad Mentor. So, my name is Drew Solon, and I am the director of Dad Central Ontario, and I'm also the founder of Connected Dads. I've been working directly with dads since 2019, and believe that being a dad and partner are my most important roles. So I'm also the creator and co-host of the Dad Central Show, which is a podcast that coaches dads to be their best and raise confident and healthy kids. As a professional coach and a leadership trainer, I've been certified by the International Coach Federation and by Maxwell Leadership. For me, I'm just grateful for the opportunity to support you in your goals through this training series. We know from research completed in 2020 that Canadian dads care about their fatherhood role and they want to be positively involved in the lives of their children. Of course, the problem is that dads feel like there's nowhere they can go for help. So this was true back in 2009 when Dad Central launched its first ever fatherhood support program, which was called Super Dad, Super Kids. And unfortunately, it's still true today. Thankfully, we have the answer for dads and are using this free training series to do two things. One, we want to equip dads with the skills they need to be a great dad. And then two, we want to show dads how and where to get the support that they need to thrive. So, are you a dad who feels stressed, tired, and overwhelmed at times? Have you found yourself yelling at your kids more than you want to? Do you wonder if you're doing it right? Or are you struggling to communicate or co parent with your children's mother? If anything I said just resonated with you, then at a minimum, you need this free training. Of course, I'm biased, but I also think you need to get connected to a community of like minded dads. And even if you don't join a community of like minded dads, which we're about to launch in our brand new program, which is designed specifically for dads like you, called Dad Mentor, then this free training will help. So, the goal of today's masterclass is to help you be the dad you want to be. Today, I'm sharing the big three areas that you need to develop to really be as successful as you can be as a dad. And it's only three. Uh, they are you need to know and understand the value of your role as a dad. Starts with that. When you realize how important you are in the life of your child and you understand what your child needs and how to provide it, you are going to set yourself up for a much better approach to this whole world of being a dad. Two, you need to manage your time and energy. I referenced above, I've got five kids. Time, energy, these are resources that they need to be preserved. They need to be maximized and they need to be used effectively. Otherwise, you can find yourself really depleted. And so it's really important to understand what are the principles to be able to manage your time and energy. And then third, you need to be able to communicate in healthy and respectful ways. The foundation of any healthy relationship and one of the biggest challenges for many relationships is communication. So there is a lot to cover. So let's get started today. 3 steps to succeed as a dad. Key number one, I should say, is knowing your role and value as a dad. So once upon a time, a father's job was to bring home a paycheck, maybe cut the grass, tell his kids when they were misbehaving. These days, although some fathers are still playing more or less the same role, many others are jumping into their fatherhood role and starting to speak up about how important it is to them. One of those fathers is Alexis Ohanian. He's the Reddit co-founder and he's husband to Serena Williams. He's talking and voicing his belief and passion for fatherhood. Of course, his was a rocky road entering it, but he's really learned and really become to embrace how important it was. So how about you? How do you decide what kind of fatherhood role is best for you? The best way is to start by thinking about what your children need. And children need many things from their parents, but let's break it down into the main pieces. They need the necessities of life, human interaction, care and comfort, warmth and love, guidance and protection, and to be important to someone. All of these relate to the different roles that both fathers and mothers play for their child. And so let's talk specifically about the roles that a dad will play that will cover each of these six areas of need in your child. It will be very brief, but will at least give you an understanding. Number one, the provider father for the necessities of life. So this used to be a father's main role, and it's still important, but if kids don't get the basics, food, clothing, and shelter, some of the other things we're going to talk about won't seem to matter much. So, yes, dads being a provider, still an important opportunity for you. Next is the interactive father for human interaction. Of course, children are tiny developing people, and they learn how to be grown up adult people through human interaction that begins with parents and starts right at birth. So kids learn their communication skills, the social rules, the values of their culture or their religion by interacting with you as their parent and by watching you interact with others. So they need to be with us as much as possible. They need us to talk to them, to play with them, and make them part of our world. Next, the nurturing father for care and comfort. Nurturing simply means helping someone or something to grow. In fact, it's been shown if babies aren't held, stroked, and touched, they don't develop normally. And when you look after babies, you change their diaper, you comfort them, you feed them, you give them baths. And for me, clean up their throw up every now and then. And when you don't do it in a warm and loving way, you can't help but give them the kind of nurturing touch they need. Next is the affectionate father for warmth and love. So, another part of parenthood is being in a relationship because it's your child's first relationship. It's very important and needs to be filled with love and warmth. Fathers express affection in many ways, but hugs, smiles, kisses are the obvious ones. But this warmth is also expressed in the way you talk with your children, the way you play with them, and reassure them when they're upset. Excuse me a second. Pardon me. Next, we have the responsible father for guidance and protection. Wow. Something's really happened to my throat there. The tea's not helping. Okay. Okay, that's a little better. The responsible father for guidance and protection. Young children obviously need lots of guidance. Fathers need to share the responsibility for protecting and teaching them. And we protect our children by providing safe homes, supervising them carefully, ensuring they get proper medical care, and making sure they are well cared for when we aren't with them. Parents are also a child's first and most important teachers. We teach kids what to do and what not to do. We also show them the world and how it works and help them pursue their interests. Next is the committed father for being important to someone. So, along with everything else, kids need to know that they belong and that they are most important. They're the most important thing in the world to somebody, and that's you. Now, this commitment is something you need to communicate to your child through your words and also by the way you relate to them when you are with them. It also involves a consciousness that stays with you all the time. Think of your children when you're away from them, talk about them with your friends. No matter what else you may be doing, on some level, you're always aware that you are a father. In particular, I remember, my twins were born back in 2013, and I was home for 2 weeks, and then I went back to work. And going back to work was, it was very different when he did. And then all I could think about that day was getting back home. And I literally, once work was done, I literally ran to the car and couldn't wait to get home just so I could be back in their presence. So, just having that consciousness is so important. So, fathers can play all of those roles. So can mothers. And exactly who does what for the kids will be a little different in every family. Now, it doesn't have to be a perfect, 50-50 split, but the point is that children must get what they need from both parents. So, one thing that I want to point out, dads, here is that it's not just what you do in those six roles, but it's most important, how do you do it? So it's not enough for us to say, teach your children or hug them or play with them, because you can do all of these things well. or do them in a way that's not right for your child. And so, how do you know what approach will be best for your individual child? The key is to get to know them. And the way you get to know them is to spend time with them. And then when you're spending time with them, just watch them, observe, and wait. Watch for how your child reacts and wait for them to show you what they're interested in. One baby may laugh when you make a silly noise, another may startle and burst into tears. One preschooler may want lots of hugs when they're sad, another may want you close by but not touching them. You know, ten, uh, excuse me, attentive parenting is not an instinct; it's something you learn by paying attention to your child, and it's an education that never really ends since children keep changing as they grow. And so the role you play as a father in your family will depend on what your children are like, what you and your partner like, and the type of work you both do. So, but it does all start with what your children need. And the more attention you pay to all of their needs, the less you'll be asking, what's my role? So it all starts as key number one, knowing your role and knowing the value of your role because you are so significant to the life of your child. Research is unequivocal. I'm not going to go further into it, but hopefully you're just knowing you're important to your child. It makes a big difference. Okay, key number two, manage your time and energy. With so many pressures and responsibilities in today's climate, parenting can feel overwhelming. And I think we'll hear more about that. For some dads, the pandemic made it exponentially worse as many dealt with job losses, health issues, deeper isolation, family breakdown. Now a struggling economy, instability, and possible environmental crises make raising a family feel exponentially harder than ever in history. But it's not all doom and gloom. No matter what is happening around us or how time strapped you might feel, you can take back control. It really starts with understanding how to, this is the key word, prioritize. Prioritize your time and your energy. And when you do, that you'll begin to commit your time to what matters most, and you'll learn to say no to things that don't. You'll be more disciplined and intentional and make decisions that deliver the greatest return and reward. So learning to prioritize isn't easy. If it was, I think many more people would do it and do it consistently. Now, if you're like most dads, you feel pulled in many directions. And depending on your level of awareness, you might also struggle with these two things: identifying what are my priorities, and then two, being able to stay focused on your priorities. Now, this is the starting point. And if you haven't done it, we're going to talk through this, but you're most likely struggling because one of these five priority pressures are impacting you. We're going to through them quickly. So stay with me. Pressure number one, most people overestimate the importance of most things. Absolutely true. Number two, having too many priorities paralyzes people. That the more choices you have, the more outfits you have, more people are like, oh no, what do I do? Right? Pressure number three, when small demands are given too much attention, big problems arise. Absolutely. Making everything a priority means that nothing is a priority. It's the actually opposite of prioritizing. And then sometimes it takes an emergency to force people to prioritize. And absolutely, we've seen that in the pandemic. So, no matter where you are in relation to knowing or staying focused on your priorities, the five priority principles will help you. And there are also practical applications that you must make if you want to identify and follow your priorities in life. Now, for anyone who's watching, love to if you can comment. What are those? Which one of those five pressures is most pressing in your life or most relevant to you? Which one do you think stands out? So go ahead, put it in the chat. Love to see your thoughts. Okay, but while we're doing that, I'm going to keep moving on and wait for those comments to come in. So where we're going to go now is five practical applications. You want to identify based on these priority principles. So principle number one, working smarter has a higher return than working harder. And principle number two, you can't, repeat, can't have it all. As much as we all want to, we can't. We have to make choices. Principle number three, good is always the enemy of the best. Principle number four, proactive beats reactive. So if you can anticipate things and get ahead of them, it's much better than always reacting. Finally, principle number 5, where we're going to spend some time, the important needs to take precedence over the urgent. So the reality is, the more responsibility you have as a dad, the more you have on your plate. And as demands increase, you need the ability to juggle multiple high priority items successfully. If not, you'll end up getting more stressed, less patient, more moody. You'll probably lose energy, you'll exercise less, and you're going to eat more junk food, probably. Does that sound familiar? If so, then you need a system to classify tasks so you can quickly prioritize them. So, ineffective dads jump on the urgent tasks without even thinking. Effective dads, they weigh both the factors, important and urgent, for each task and then act accordingly. So, here's a little cheat sheet, a little 2x2 matrix that helps you identify where you should put your time and energy first when it comes to these high importance and high urgency items. So, top left corner, high importance, high urgency. These are your first things. You got to take care of them. Okay. Second, the orange, bottom left, the high important and low urgent items. These are the things they should be prioritized. You got to set some deadlines and get them done and find ways to, if you can, put them into your daily routine. So for me, exercise would be one of these things. It's highly important, but it's, I'd say, low urgency in terms of I can schedule it. I don't have to meet someone else's timeline, but it needs to get scheduled. And I need to be able to have a timeline to get these things done. Next is a top right, low importance, but high urgency. These are the things that kind of come up, problems, you got to deal with them. So you want to find quick, efficient ways to get these done with minimal time, minimal personal involvement and time. And if possible, try and delegate these. Try and ask someone who can help you with this. That's a great quadrant to say, who can help me with this, and see if they can do that so that it offloads you. Next is the low important and low urgent. If these things can be removed, then get rid of them. If you can delegate or find someone else to help you with them, let them do it. If you have to do them, then schedule a 1 hour block every week and just chip away at it. You never want to schedule these low important, low urgent items in your most productive hours. So you should be aware of that. So I just want to ask you a question. Where can this cheat sheet help you immediately in your life? If you just looked at all the demands that you've got, can you put them into quadrants and say, okay, here's how I know how to allocate my time? All right. Well, thank you so much for sticking with me as we get clarity on prioritizing. Most important is, in order to apply the 5 principles that I've just outlined, there are 3 solutions. And this is where you're going to get the most value when it comes to prioritizing. It's also probably the step that requires the most work, but it provides the greatest, from my perspective, return. So solution number 1 is the Pareto principle. You've probably heard of it. It's the 80-20 rule. So it says that 20% of your activity produces 80% of your results. So when applying it to your priorities, let's say you have 10 priorities. Pareto's principle states that your top 2 priorities would produce about 80% of your results. The other 8 priorities would only produce 20% of your results. If that's the case, then it's vitally important that you know your top priorities so you can optimize your activity. And so for me, I've done this exercise quite a few times, and in various stages, whether it's my career, whether it's family, whether it's my health. And in particular, when it comes to career, I look at the things that have given me the greatest return. It's like it's all about relationships. It's all about connecting with people, having conversations, and that opens more and more doors. And so that's how I prioritize my activities. Am I doing the things that are going to produce the greatest results? And then I spend more time there. Solution number 2 is the 3 R's. So answering 3 questions will help identify what needs to go on your list of priorities. So number 1 is, what's required of you as a dad? Number 2, what gives you the greatest return? And number 3, what is most rewarding? Now, I have a downloadable worksheet for this process. You can get it by clicking the link on this page for the 3 R's worksheet. It's just below the videos. So complete the worksheet to help you flesh out how to apply solution number 1 and number 2 to your life now. Solution number 3. This one might be the hardest, but maybe the most valuable. Make room for margin. And so this is that extra space that you build into your life to manage the unplanned or for your own personal benefit. We're so busy these days. We're so overscheduled that nobody actually puts the time in for personal time, for family time, for the things that are needed to give you time and space to actually think, to breathe, even, or to just unwind from the challenges of the daily grind. So there's three things the margin provides everyone. One, it gives you improved self awareness. And from self awareness, you can make better choices. It also gives you needed time to think, and time to think is crucial, especially with all the complexity we're all facing. The more clarity you have, the better you can make decisions. And number three, margin provides you with energy renewal. I don't know about you, but again, with 5 kids, energy renewal is kind of important. So having that margin into my calendar, that time, space, downtime is crucial. So in order to have this, you've got to plan for it. You have to discipline yourself. Again, one of my greatest challenges is the ability. I can plan, I'm a great planner. It's the discipline piece and following through to actually keep it in your life. And so this white space in your calendar needs to be the first thing you plan. And you have to commit to keeping it there. If you plan it and then someone asks you to do something and you override it, you're not doing yourself any favors. And so I've given you some practical tools to help eliminate overwhelm, can reduce the stress and manage your time and energy better. But if you feel unsure where to start, here is an action step to help you move forward. I think this is one of the simplest and most effective ways to improve every aspect of your fatherhood. And so that action is simply spend 10 minutes of one-to-one time with each of your kids every day. You want to prioritize your fatherhood. This is the way you do it. You build it in, you make it happen. One of the dads I was working with a few years ago, he had 4 kids, very busy, doing a lot of commuting. But what he ended up doing is every time he came home, he started this. He started coming home and saying, "Okay, I get some time with each kid." And essentially, it was almost like they, within like the first week, got so excited they would jump up onto basically the chair, and he would just give them undivided time, and they would just start talking. They almost got to the point where they would fight over this 10-minute time where they got dad's undivided attention. And just that one simple change made a significant difference. He lit up when he shared about what was going on. He told the stories of how his kids would get excited. So it doesn't take much, but when you do this consistently, it can be very powerful and make a change. So if you do nothing else from this whole masterclass, make it this: spend 10 minutes of one-on-one time with your kids every single day. Okay, let's move on to key number 3 to succeed as a dad. And that is communicate in healthy and respectful ways. And this all starts with applying 3 powerful skills that build connection and healthy relationships. The skills are listening, asking questions, and empathizing. Actively listen. There is, for me, hopefully for you, something very powerful about giving another person your full and undivided attention. Think about, when was the last time someone did this for you? I know when it happened for me, and I know the difference. Do you remember how it made you feel? When a person really listens and hears your perspective, it is the ultimate form of validation. To actively listen involves shutting out distractions and focusing on the whole person in front of you. It means getting rid of the phone, putting it away, not having the beeps and the dings, and just everything else is not going to interfere with you and the eye contact and the presence with another person. But as busy, distracted, stressed, tired, fearful, or insert any other adjective before the word parents, it can be hard to give full attention to our children or even our partners. Now, borrowing from my coaching background, active listening is possible with a few small changes. 7 specific actions that will demonstrate and convey your active listening to another person are: focusing on what they want. Peter Jensen, I think I'm going to tell this story. Well, I'll tell the story now and I'll reference him later. But I was at a coaching conference and Peter Jensen shared an example of trying to coach a person who everyone said he's not a good listener, because basically he had this toggle switch. If he's listening, you'd go here. And if you're talking, it goes here. And so his toggle switch would go from kind of talking to waiting to talk, waiting to talk, talking to waiting to talk. It would never go all the way over to listening. He was always waiting to talk. And so by focusing on what they want, you are not waiting to talk, you're actually listening and focusing on them. Two, you want to hear their concerns, their goals, their values, and their beliefs. Try and get at what matters to them. Take their words, the tone of voice, and body language into consideration. And in particular, body language. Body language conveys much more. Body language and tone of voice conveys so much more information than just the words a person says. So pay attention to those things. Then you want to summarize, paraphrase, reiterate, or mirror back what they said. You can then encourage, accept, explore, or even reinforce what they said. You can also add to what they say, but this is key. Never take away or dismiss, what another person says. That doesn't really convey that you're listening. It's like you're just you're dismissing it. And then finally, you want to allow them to safely express themselves. And this ultimately means there's no judgment whatsoever on what a person says. You just take it in and use one of those 6 other actions. So, have you ever been told you aren't listening to me? If so, then I'd say follow these 7 guidelines to apply this all important relationship building skill. Okay, next skill that's crucial to communicate in healthy and respectful ways is actually asking open-ended questions. So I just referenced Peter Jensen, and this was the time that I heard him. In 2009, I went to a coaching conference, and I heard Dr. Peter Jensen talk about this book, Igniting the Third Factor. And in his talk, he shared a phrase that he learned from an early mentor that's really been foundational to my coaching career, but actually instrumental in my parenting as well. And the phrase is, to discover is superior to being told. For most parents, it's like, no, I'm always telling my kids what to do, how to do it. But this is the opposite. And so it always stuck with me. And as I read his book, I learned that the value of coaching was to help people discover the answer for themselves. When that happened, this is the key. People took action more often and with better results than if only motivated by external influences, things like controls, maybe punishments or fear, or even external rewards. Go, if you do this, then I'll give you this. When they discover it and want it for themselves, they're more likely to go and do it. And so when I think of it, to help my kids discover, I rely on open-ended questions. And so these are questions that start with how, what, where, and when. And I do my best to avoid asking why questions because it normally puts people on the defensive and requires someone to justify themselves. So open-ended questions are powerful because they can't be answered with a yes or no. And when they're used effectively, open-ended questions help others develop things like critical thinking, awareness, and decision-making skills. I'm pretty sure that's something that every growing child needs. Of course, you have to be relevant. Depending on the child's age, here are some examples that I've used and seen results. And I mean, children who are pretty young, when you begin to ask questions, you'd be amazed at how it helps them. But again, you have to know age and stage of your child, but start pretty young. So some examples: what do you think? Or what do you see? Or what do you hear? Or what did you do? Again, and just listening. Or what have you learned from this? Or what does it mean to give your best effort? It's important for me and our family. Have you given your best? Or how important is that to you? How would you start? When did you know fill in the blank? Or where have you seen fill in the blank? Open-ended questions are essentially limitless. The bottom line is your goal is to try and not have a yes or no answer. And so it takes a little bit of work, a little bit of creativity, but the more that you can always ask non-open-ended questions, it really gives an opportunity for your child to think, but also to give a lot more information. But the key to this, and I was guilty early on and still have to work at this, is to ask one question at a time and then just give space for your child to respond. Sometimes that may mean waiting 5, 10, 15, 20 seconds. I've learned to just wait as long as I can. And then if not, I'll just say, yeah, by the way, did you hear my question? Oh, yes, or no, what was it? And then I can ask it again, and then again, leave the space. So one question, leave space to respond. And then once they do respond, I don't jump in. But what I do is I actively listen, and then I learn a lot more. Most importantly, I think my kids or my partner feel like they've been heard, they feel like they're cared for, and they feel validated. Okay. Final skill is, well, we'll get to it in a moment. But I don't remember when, but sometime between getting married and the birth of my third child, I became aware that my first reaction to problems was to go into problem solving mode. And I don't know if any of you can relate to this, but what this looked like for me was I focused more, I buried my emotions, I attacked the problem or the challenge, tried to figure out a list of possible solutions, and then I acted when did it. So if more challenges came up, I just worked harder and I kept moving. That's what a problem solver does, right? Well, that doesn't work so well for children or partners for that matter. And what I've learned is that the most powerful tool that I've been able to use in these moments, and with literally anyone at any point, is just to listen and show them what I said, empathy. And so we all know or intuitively understand empathy. It's where you feel what someone else feels, you understand their experience, and then you relate to their perspective and keyword accept it. Simple, right? For me, it definitely wasn't. In some situations, it was very hard for me to get to a place of empathy. Remember my problem solver approach? I was see the problem, find the solution, and fix it. That's it. Just get it done. But that's really where the work began for me. Because of my natural focus on problem solving, I was missing a big part of the equation, which is emotion. And so, according to Dr. Laura Markham, she's the creator of ahaparenting.com, and John Gottman, he's the author of Raising an Emotionally Intelligent Child, but he's also the founder of the Gottman Institute, which is the longest running study of marriage and marriage relationships. And he's got a book called The Seven Principles for Making Marriage Work. And so, this quote says that empathy is the foundation of emotional intelligence. It's also the foundation of effective parenting. Why? Because it's essential to your ability to understand your child and connect with her, because it will prevent you from visiting on your child all the issues from your own childhood. And because without it, your child simply won't feel loved no matter how much you love her. Pretty powerful quote. So here are the three how-tos then of showing empathy, because if I haven't convinced you, I'm telling you, it's one of the most important tools you have in your toolbox of communicating in a healthy way. So here are the three how-tos. We've already touched on this. It's listening, but most importantly, without the pressure to solve or fix anything. Don't take what they say personally. And if you find yourself starting to, you need to stop, just breathe, and try and detach from the situation and any expectations you have. Now, as a dad, there are many situations where I have to bite my tongue because it's not the way I would do it. It's not what I want my kids to do. But every time I do bite my tongue, stop and breathe, it always works out better. Two, you want to label the underlying dynamic or the feelings, and then you want to reflect back what you hear or see in them. And so, again, going back to that active listening piece, there are some simple behaviors you can do, but this labeling is like a simple statement that starts with things like it sounds like, or it seems like, or it looks like. And so, let's say, my daughter is, lashing out at her brother, and I can just say, it sounds like you're pretty angry at your brother. Just leave it. Then she can fill in and give me the details or whatever. Or it seems like you're worried about the field trip today. Simple statements. Third, you want to then acknowledge and resonate. You want to tell your child, your partner, whoever you're communicating with, that you know what they're going through, either how hard it must be or that you can feel what they feel. You want to convey your understanding by matching your response to their mood in the situation. You can say things like, again, with kids, I use things, it's hard having a brother that doesn't share. My brother didn't share with me and it always made me mad too. As an example. Or they feel like, oh, it's not fair. Well, oh, you think this isn't fair? I know if I were you, I might feel the same way. I understand it doesn't feel fair to you. Simple. The skill of empathizing might be the most important because it does, as I said, communicate at the emotional level, and it helps children feel like they matter to that quote. So this is another quote that I think captures the power of the change that empathy can make. Oh, did I miss that? Oh, sorry. Let's go back a slide. Yeah. Do I have it? No. It looks like I'll just read you the quote and then we'll move on to that slide. So, when children feel understood, their loneliness and hurt diminish. When children are understood, their love for their parent is deepened. A parent's sympathy serves as emotional first aid for bruised feelings. When we genuinely acknowledge a child's plight and voice their disappointment, they often gather the strength to face reality. So, dads, this skill is actually how you build strong, resilient, and mentally tough children. You may be tempted to tell kids things like toughen up or don't cry or just get over it. But what you're actually doing is telling them that their feelings don't matter and they can't trust themselves. And my personal belief here, this to me is the root of a lot of our problems today. The mental health crisis to me is more about emotions. And when emotions are denied, they're suppressed, or they're judged without properly being accepted, acknowledged, and processed, big problems result. We've seen an explosion in child-related anxiety and a lot of other things. So I think it's a really important point. And believe me when I say, if you want to communicate in a way that builds healthy, strong, resilient, and trustworthy relationships, I think you really need to develop and apply the skill of empathy. Okay. Now I have a very important question for all the dads out there. What if there was a way to immediately transform your fatherhood experience, help reduce your stress, eliminate the feelings of overwhelm, and end the constant cycle of fatigue and frustration? Would you want to know how to achieve those results? I mean, if you do, then this is why I really want to introduce you to Dad Mentor. I've been a dad and a supported dads now for over 10 years. And in that time, I've gone through a lot. I mean, a lot of stress. But through it all, I've developed close, trusting relationships and I've maintained my health and learned the single biggest advantage that's helped me navigate life. I've helped others find the key for themselves too. And as we've shared in today's masterclass, when you know your role and value as a dad, you can provide what your kids need when they need it. This builds your confidence and the belief that you matter. Then, once you know how to manage your time and energy by prioritizing your schedule, you begin to feel in control of your life and the direction it's heading. When you feel in control and managing the demands, you have more energy to commit to building healthy relationships. You communicate well by listening, asking good questions, and empathizing, which builds trust and safety, two crucial elements for kids and your partner. But in order to achieve these results, most dads need support, just like I needed support. I think of Sherwin James, who reached out to Dad Central in 2021 saying he can't find resources for dads anywhere in the Durham region. I also think of Jordan Leith, who took 5 months of paternity leave, but still worried about returning to work and how it was going to pan out. These dads have already jumped into Dad Mentor and are seeing the benefits firsthand. Sherwin says, before I came across Dad Mentor, I felt overwhelmed at times, struggling to figure this parenting thing out, even though my wife and I supported each other on this journey of raising another human being. After coming across Dad Mentor, I feel more confident that I have practical tools and support to help me build a strong foundation to fulfill my God-given duty as a parent. If you're a dad who desires to become a better father, the Dad Mentor program is your treasure chest waiting to be used. And Jordan says, we've only had a couple calls and already I've got a great potty training book recommendation and lots of great insights. Dad Central's content for expectant dads stood out to me because it didn't overcomplicate. This is unlike most of the parenting classes that I did with my wife. I found that the classes would turn most topics into 1,000 things to not do and 1,000 things to remember to do. My impression of the soon to be released Dad Central content is that it will have the same impact as expectant dad content. It's refreshing to build camaraderie with fellow dads. The overriding theme is that the more that I engage with Dad Central, the less overwhelming dad life feels. And I also think about the hundreds of dads who've enrolled in our free Fatherhood Fundamentals course and benefited in so many ways. Dads like Ian Woods, a dad of two, said Fatherhood Fundamentals was inspiring and thought-provoking. I've yet to fully understand the quality of information I was provided. In this course, or with this course, I can explore my future with courage and whatever it takes attitude. Thank you, Dad Central. Or Merrick, a separated dad working hard to be a great dad for his daughter, says, a great framework for establishing a healthy and productive relationship with my daughter. The advice has broad applications, not just for dads, but for success in general. The idea about self-control and not dwelling on mistakes is especially helpful. Or even Dave, a dad of three, who says, I wish this resource or something similar was available when my kids were small. So, as you can see, dads are looking for resources, need support, and want to invest in their fatherhood. That's exactly why we created Dad Mentor, to provide the key resources dads need and surround them with a strong, successful community of men to lean on for advice, encouragement, and accountability. But before I tell you more about Dad Mentor, I need you to know there's a limited time. There's a limited time to enroll. Because our goal is community, we will start together and build Dad Mentor together. We're opening registration tomorrow and we'll close it to get started as a group. Now, if you're watching this video, you may be a dad who feels stressed, tired, and or overwhelmed. Maybe you find yourself yelling at your kids more than you want to. You may wonder if you're doing this dad thing right, or maybe you even struggle to communicate or co-parent with your child's mother. Whatever your situation, Dad Mentor will help you become the calm, confident, and connected dad you want to be. When you join Dad Mentor, you'll get the Dad's Roadmap, which is a step-by-step plan to help you go from unsure to unstoppable. You'll get monthly live masterclass or Q&A calls that will help you find answers to things you feel you can't ask anyone else. All Q&A sessions are completely confidential. You get access to a community of like-minded dads to support you through every stage of this fatherhood journey. Most importantly, you get a resource library of curated topics for dads, including webinars, masterclasses, or podcast episodes, and they're available 24/7 from any device. You can also get exclusive offers or special events that will provide just for Dad Mentor members only. And so, parenting doesn't come with an instruction manual. And especially these days, things are only getting harder for parents. The Dad's Roadmap breaks down the core knowledge and skills you need to apply as a dad and shows you how they combine to grow your skills and your relationships. This step-by-step guidance is easily valued at about $100. Whereas masterclasses, they give you training from experts in parenting, relationships, money, technology, social media, bullying, and more. We'll also have communication and co-parenting experts break down the key steps needed to handle those tricky, difficult moments that cause frustration. Courses offered by experts can cost hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. With Dad Mentor, your masterclass is included and you'll be getting approximately one per month. That's a yearly value of $1,000 or more. Most importantly, you're going to join like-minded dads who know what you're going through, can relate to your situation, and may have advice that helps with your specific situation. Just think of Jordan's reference. The power of a network of dads encouraging and opening doors for you is invaluable. Now, if you've ever wanted to grow your career or business, you know the power of networking. Networking organizations can charge upwards of $100 a month or $1,200 a year to be a member, but it's all included in Dad Mentor. And for those moments when you're not sure what to do and need immediate advice, our curated Dad's Resource Library is available to you 24/7. It's the most extensive collection of articles, tip sheets, webinars, or podcasts that will help you when you need it most. And Dad Central has been building resources for over 20 years. So the resources alone, just in this Dad's curated library, are worth over $1,000. So combined, you're looking at a value of thousands of dollars. That's everything that's included with Dad Mentor. Now, personally, I think you'll find the ability to access dad specific resources whenever you need, combined with a supportive community of like minded dads, is simply priceless. With Dad Mentor, you'll have your most burning questions answered and dedicated support to handle the topics you've asked about. Specifically, things like managing emotions, things like anger, stress, anxiety, frustration, how to connect with your child, things like parenting challenges or parenting challenging kids. How do you handle those transitions? How do you get them ready for school, mealtime, dealing with challenging, all these things, or self-care, taking care of yourself to be the best parent possible, that work-life balance challenge. Okay. Ultimately, Dad Mentor is a solution that's built by dads for dads. When you join our community, you'll get everything you need to know about being a dad. But to me, that's not enough. I want to take you beyond knowing and right into application. And that's why we've created 2 guides to help you get quick wins in the areas that you've asked about. So I think by now, hopefully you're probably seeing the amazing value you get with that mentor. And so I want to talk to you specifically, but I have come up with these bonuses. Not one, but 2. And each of these bonuses are worth more, I think, than the cost of even a monthly membership. So bonus number 1 is all about managing kids and technology. Our brand new resource called Digital Dads, an age by age guide to navigating technology with your children, gives practical strategies, actionable steps, and essential knowledge to help you navigate technology alongside your kids at each stage of their development. Starting from the early years and going to the teenage phase, this guide empowers you to create a healthy relationship between your children and technology while ensuring their safety and well being. We know dads care about this. We know it's a stress for them and it can be a difficult thing to navigate. So, this guide will help you get clear guidance right away. And that brings us maybe to our most important bonus. I think this bonus is so good, it will make jumping into Dad Mentor an absolute no brainer. And this bonus is for dads who find themselves constantly frustrated and losing their patience with their kids. And I know this is a big challenge for many dads. So, our brand new 7 steps to stop yelling and promote calmer parenting will inspire and equip dads with the tools to create a more peaceful approach in those difficult moments. Filled with practical, honest, and proven methods, this guide challenges dads with specific actions and reflection questions. And it helps dads respond how they want to and keep their cool in every situation. Now, if you add up the value of these last 2 bonuses, you're nearing $50. But the real value to me comes in feeling confident, prepared, and ready for every situation with your kids and technology. Well, yeah. Sorry. Confident, prepared. Um, where am I at? Sorry. This is obviously about staying calm. So imagine seeing yourself staying calm, patient, and resilient in the face of challenging kids' behavior, keeping your cool when things would normally escalate, or recognizing that it's okay to make mistakes and finding ways to repair the relationship with your child much quicker and peacefully than before. No longer being plagued with the guilt or shame because you're giving yourself the grace, the time, and the space you need to be your best. If you can imagine those benefits, I think the value is immeasurable. So by now, you probably wonder, how much does Dad Mentor cost? And your investment into yourself as a dad through Dad Mentor is only $15 a month, or you can get an annual pass for only $150 a year. So if you want to join other dads growing their skills and raising confident, successful kids, you can get started tomorrow. Just click the link below and you'll find out more information about Dad Mentor. And of course, registration begins tomorrow, June 17th. So, there's a lot against dads these days, and it's a lot different than things were for dads in the past. The old way of being a dad just doesn't work. The old way says you're not viewed as a capable parent. People see you out with kids and say, "Oh, it's so nice to see you babysitting." You show up to the play group and it's all moms, and you feel like an outsider. You go to change your baby in the men's washroom, there isn't a change table. You're afraid to speak up for yourself for fear of being labeled with perpetrating toxic masculinity. Your employer stares blankly at you when you say you need time off to care for your kids who are sick, or outright says no when you say you want to take paternity leave. Look, I think we know dads care about fatherhood, but there is a lot that comes against us. And the new way of being a dad requires a supportive community and proven resources. Without it, you'll be overwhelmed by the sheer demands and barriers that come up. That's again why we've created Dad Mentor. It's a place where dads can come together, can learn the skills, and get the support you need to be the active, involved, and healthy dad you want to be. But the only way that narrative will change is if you take action. In case you're not convinced that you need Dad Mentor, I want to share 4 facts. Fatherhood makes men better at work and at home. But research says this only happens when they are fully engaged in the work of parenting. Becoming a father increases your potential to earn more money. When dads are positively involved at home, their health improves. And involved fathers have a greater sense of purpose and meaning. But the reality is, these benefits don't happen automatically. Like everything worthwhile, it takes work. John C. Maxwell, my mentor, he's got a wonderful quote. He says, "Every worthwhile accomplishment has a price tag attached to it. The question is always whether you're willing to pay that price to attain it in hard work, sacrifice, patience, faith, and endurance." There ultimately, there are no second chances with your family. If you don't get it right, it will cost you. So if you're ready to become the calm, confident, and connected dad you want to be, then please join us in Dad Mentor. And so there's 3 simple steps. When it comes time to register tomorrow, click that button below. It'll take you to the registration page. All you need to do is enter your information on the registration button and then hit Join Dad Mentor. After that, you'll log in, you'll complete your profile for the membership community, and then you're going to listen to the welcome video. So as I mentioned before, our focus is on building community. So this offer is only available for a limited time. Registration in Dad Mentor closes Sunday, June 25th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern. So just want to leave you with that. But also remember, there are two great bonuses. That bonus number one is our digital dads, an age by age guide to navigating technology with your children. Again, it gives you practical strategies, actionable steps, and essential knowledge to help you go manage technology alongside your kids at every stage. Our second bonus is for the dads who find themselves constantly frustrated. It's our 7 steps to stop yelling and promote calmer parenting. So we're really excited to offer these bonuses to help dads with their biggest challenges. But we know the most important help dads need is a supportive community. And that's why Dad Mentor is here. So we look forward to welcome you to a brotherhood of like-minded dads ready to encourage and uplift each other. So again, registration starts tomorrow. We'll send an email out. You can also get it from this page. So I look forward to having you join us. I'm so grateful for everyone who's taken this free training. I hope and I know that it's offered value. And I look forward to seeing you all on the inside. And remember, if the only thing you took from this training was a better way to connect with your kids or your partner, it would well be worth it. But also want you to remember that dads need support now more than ever. The demands are so high, the pressures are mounting, and our health and families are suffering as a result. I want you to take advantage of this great opportunity while it's available to create the family and life you want to see. And one final thing is almost every single guest who's been on our podcast, the Dad Central Show, has talked about the power of a supportive community to help them be the best dad they can be. I know through my fatherhood journey, if I didn't have people around me, I didn't have the right type of support, I would never have been able to get to where I am today. So no matter what, dads, you matter and you need a community that believes in you. And that's us at Dad Central because we believe in you. So thanks so much for being here. Go ahead, join Dad Mentor, and we'll see you on the inside.